So, hold on, let me turn my TV down. Okay, so I just wanted to talk about real quick. Let me see if I can zoom in. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, yeah. Okay, androgynous child, the androgynous child, and oh shit, damn. And we're gonna try to make this keep. We're gonna try to keep this video short, like no more than 20 minutes. But why do I always set a timer knowing that I like? Uh, setting a timer, setting a timer sets me up for failure. But the androgynous child, right? So I've been like really thinking about this the past few days a lot lately. But first off, let me say this: I've always been androgynous, right? But of course, as you go through life with no body to guide you, you're going to innately. Can I make? Wait, what is this? You know, I can do that. You're going to. Let's see if I can make this. You're going to innately. I'm gonna show you a little slideshow of a few pictures that I just gathered to help convey, so you can have something to look at. Because I really couldn't find anything. But anyways, of course, like I said, you go through life and you start absorbing people's. You go through life and you start absorbing people's projections, right? You start absorbing people's projections. So when you don't know who you are and you're misguided by everybody, including yourself, you start creating a persona based off made up identity from somebody else's made up identity, from somebody else's made up identity. And you think that's your true identity, right? But I've always never felt like this or that, right? I've never felt like boy or girl, right? But I've never felt just fluid either. And I was sitting with myself, and I also asked chat, right, to help anchor what I was saying, what I was feeling in so many words. And it wasn't until today, well, this morning. Well, was it this morning? No, I think it was a few hours ago. Where, yeah, a few hours ago, where I was like, where I shouted it out, not like yelled it out, but I just proclaimed it out loud, like, because after I started, like I said, shadow alchemy, healing myself, becoming one with my monsters and demons and all that stuff, right? My fairies and all that. It wasn't until recently I was like, because I've always had this feeling like I've always knew that I was androgynous, right? But it was more so just like a mental knowing. Lately, it's been more of a bodily knowing, like not just a bodily knowing, but reclamation and acceptance and yeah, because it was a few hours ago where I was like, I am androgynous. No, I'm just androgynous. I am androgynous. Like, I'm not just a boy or just a girl who's fluid. And even when it comes to boys and girls or people who are unisex, right? There is still a fluidity throughout those, right? And even people who are androgynous, there is still a spectrum, right? A fluidity, I guess you could say. I would say a spectrum. There is still a spectrum between boys, girls, unisex people, and androgynous people. There's a spectrum, right? And that's why I changed my channel description because I had at the very top they, them, but I put androgynous child, right? Because I just never knew why I couldn't relate to either or. Like, yes, I am more, I guess you can say, feminine, but I can't even say that's true anymore because lately, as I told y'all, I've been going through the clip off, right? So I've been just really analyzing a lot of myself, right? And and this goes back, I don't know if I made a video about this, phallus worship, but it even connects to phallus worship where like I was thinking to myself out loud, I was like, oh shit, this is just another way for me to connect to my masculinity. But not the male is not connecting to my masculine energy or maleness or boyness. It's connecting to the androgynous masculine. My whole life, I've been on the spectrum of androgynous masculine, androgynous feminine, and purely androgynous, right? My default setting is purely androgynous. But I didn't realize until today, where I've really just sat with it. I'm like, oh, androgyny is a spectrum. And for me, androgyny, even if it's more masculine leaning androgyny or more feminine leaning androgyny, it's still androgyny. And I really don't see a separation, right? And let's change the picture. And I was trying to find pictures of like the androgynous child, y'all. It was difficult to find pictures of androgynous child because first off, we're not included a lot. A lot of people don't talk about androgyny, nor do they talk about the androgynous child, nor do they go in depth, right? People just say like, yes, because just be androgynous, like they talk about it just like in passing, right? It's never nothing like, and I get it. No, there's nothing wrong with you wanting to you know being more masculine leaning or feminine leaning. It's not even about that. It's about me, right? And excuse me. And a lot of this came to be because there was a video of Amelia Ortez and it had Till Swan. And I like Till Swan videos, but she asking, I just never understood. See, when I watch her videos, I wouldn't agree with them because, well, I wouldn't agree with the ones, and she has a lot of these videos, but I wouldn't agree. Sorry, I'm moving a lot, y'all. Forgive me. I wouldn't agree with the videos that I might add music to this. I'll see, but I wouldn't agree with the videos. Y'all know I hate editing videos. Um. Oh, and real quick, I'll make a video talking about nostalgia and like how I'm going to try to make my channel as nostalgic as possible when it comes to the editing and like the stuff I talk about, the stuff I react to, etc. Okay, so that's coming, y'all. It's coming. It's coming. But sorry, I'm picking my lip. But her videos, which talk about boys and women and masculinity and femininity. Um, but sorry, I'm watching a YouTuber and it kind of distracted me. I get distracted very easily. I'm sorry. I'll blame it on my fairy side. How to start and can I get possessed? Oh, there's another video we gotta make. But yeah, she makes videos. Sorry, she makes videos about that, and what she's saying isn't wrong. I'm not now. Let me say this real quick. I'm not disagreeing with anything she says, but this is the premise, right? I'm setting it up. So she did a video like 4 days ago talking to Emilio Ortez on his podcast, and she was talking about that about masculinity, right? She about boys, right? And boys need to feel like they need to, I guess, provide and I don't know, I guess provide and I don't know what else she was saying, but that was one that stuck out to me. They feel a need to provide and right? And of course, allowing themselves to feel the emotions. And I'm starting to understand that emotions are androgynous. Emotions are androgynous, right? I still do feel like there's some femininity in that, but the way Taylor Swan was talking about emotions, she was like, yeah, because of course Taylor Swan, she's very smart, very intelligent, but at the same time, she's still just a human. So I'm not gonna take everything she says absolute. I'm not taking anything she says absolute, but I do agree. I'm starting to understand like more that emotions are more complex. Like, yes, they're feminine, but they're also androgynous. But yeah, she was talking about she was like in a healthy community, at a certain point, boys are taught um to ask, what can I do for you as a woman, right? Because she was saying like, oh, should start moms in a healthy community would raise their kids, their boys, I guess specifically, right? We're talking boys, to instead of looking in them, instead of looking at them or to them as mommy, look at them as a woman, and how can I provide for a woman, something like that. And I understood what she was saying, but it didn't sit right with me because this is before I realized I was perceiving things through androgyny. It didn't sit right because I'm like, yeah, I get it, but like, why can't that boy apply that same logic to another boy or another man, whatever, or somebody who's androgynous, or somebody who doesn't play into any of those politics at all, right? Or somebody who's like, queer or whatever. Why couldn't that logic be applied to everybody? And then it didn't hit me until like a few moments ago before I started recording. Oh, it's because you view things so through the lens of androgyny. Because for me, I'm like, and androgyny, which also means ultimate inclusivity, right? So I'm like, why not just say that to everybody? That's where the disconnect is. Because, and then I was saying to myself, oh, androgyny is fluid. Not fluid, it's a spectrum. You are Sometimes you are feminine androgynous, masculine androgynous, and sometimes purely androgynous. And most people look at things as more masculine leaning or more feminine leaning, and yes, they're probably fluid in their feminine and masculine perspectives, but they're still boy girl, right? They're still masculine, feminine. Not boy girl. I didn't mean to say that. They're still by boy girl. I mean like they're still this that. They're still this or that, right? Even when they're fluid, right? They're still leading with masculinity and or femininity, right? Most people, right? So it's hard for somebody like me to see that perspective, like, oh, boys like to provide, boys like to listen, right? Which yes, there is truth in that. Women are supposed to just sit back and let the boys lead. The men, make the way. The men, the boys, they make the way for the feminine, right? The girls. Which that's the thing too. And it's like I'm not trying to like say anything's bad or wrong, but it's like I don't see that. I don't see boy or girl. I don't see woman or male. I don't see masculine or feminine in that way. It's like people would and to me, it's more like knowing what each group of person likes, right? So let's say you got a group of people, right, that are all types of people, right? So let's call them Group A, and they like to lead. They're a bunch of leaders. So I would adapt to that energy. And let's say Group B, they're a bunch of followers. So I would adapt to that energy. To me, it's not about masculinity or femininity. It goes beyond that. I just see clumps of energy. Let me not say clumps of energy, but I just see people. Like I just see people. I don't see masculinity or femininity. I just see people acting as a certain expression, right? Like I don't. I'm trying to explain it, y'all. I'm really because, like I said, it's not. I'm not saying there's no truth to that. It's just for me. It's like Well, why can't sometimes the women make the way for the men? And why can't sometimes the men make the way for the women? And why can't sometimes the men and women make way for the androgynous? Why can't the androgynous make way for like the gender fluid queer, whatever? Why can't we all just rotate? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to like confuse anybody, but it's like for me, I never understood those type of politics, right? Like masculine or feminine fully. Because even when I talked about masculinity and femininity on my channel, it was like briefly, and I wouldn't talk about it as like a boy or girl, right? I would talk about it as like the void, you know, darkness, evilness, you know, lightness, goodness, Hakate and Sorosha twins type of thing, right? Like I wouldn't talk about it like boy girl, the male leads and the masculine. That I wouldn't talk about it like that. I would say more so like the masculine is light, so it's more of a construct. But I wouldn't talk about it in the sense of a void. I would talk about it in the sense of light itself. Like light is a masculine energy and it constructs, right? So people who operate off that light are typically operating from that masculine energy. But that's not to say that the feminine energy isn't in the light as well, because it is. We all know that the darkness is in the light and the light is in the darkness. I have to pee. Oh, God. There's another picture. Hold on, I gotta pee, yo. Oh, get me out of here. Hold on, y'all. Let me pee real quick. Okay, and we are back. How the fuck did I? Oh, uh, control. Okay, so yeah, Um, I kind of forgot what I was saying, but I broke up Zeus off camera when I was peeing. I was thinking about Zeus, and it goes back into my palace worship or whatever. Um, shit. Oh, because I was looking up, because y'all, I've been doing research on people who um fell in love with androgynous people, right? And I was looking up at not Zeus specifically, but I was looking at people who fell in love with people like in history and the gods who had relationships with androgynous people. And I was looking up gods and or kings who were also androgynous, right? The androgynous child. Because at first I was looking up like androgynous boys because I was going through like my little boy phase, but I was realizing that I'm not just a, oh my god, I'm sorry, let me fix my thing. You know what? That's better. So I was just looking up androgynous people, right? And gods who were androgynous, right? Hermaphrodites is an Egyptian god. There's one in India who's a combination of Shiva and Shakti, I think. I cannot pronounce that name, so don't ask me. But of course, there are Chinese gods, American gods, etc., right? They're androgynous. But even in history, I need to do more research, but I've always knew that there were androgynous tribes and like cultures. But even now, I just feel like the history when it comes to androgyny is just so like little. I'm not saying that there was never androgynous people, and I'm not saying that you can't find a lot of research on it. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying like the collective consciousness when it comes to androgyny is I feel like androgynous people is just like such a small group of people. And I'm not saying that in a bad way or a negative way at all. I'm just saying this this probably is why I never hear anybody talk about being androgynous. I'm like, if the goal is to be androgynous, why isn't everybody androgynous? It's because they're not supposed to be. And that's why in some that's why a yawn. That's why in some cultures, being androgynous was seen as very sacred because it was rare to have a being that embodies that. Not physically, right? Not just physically, but spiritually, magically, mythically, storybornly, um, imaginarily, um, in your essence, embodying that frequency and vibration from top to bottom, right? Because androgyny looks are fickle, right? The physical body is fickle. There's a lot of people who has body dysmorphia, right? It's not about the physical body necessarily. It's about the energy and vibration and frequency. How does this person come off? And how do they move in society? It's not much about the physicality. It's about how do they move within their culture and what frequency are they emitting? So because there's a lot of things because I know for a fact that when people see me, they see pansexual, right? But they also still see more, I guess, of a boyish look. And I'm doing what I can to fix that, like energetically, right? I've used meditation and chanting to help slow down my facial hair because I hate facial hair. First of all, it just, once again, like I said, it doesn't agree with my body. And mainly, it's because I really just don't like it. Like, I don't have the purpose for it, right? I am getting facial feminization surgery, right? I want to feminize my hairline, my nose, my facial features, etc. Right? And I'll probably end up going back to taking estrogen again. We'll just have to see about that because I might not need to. Um, I'm getting my Adam's apple removed, right? It's not big or pronounced, but I know it's there, obviously. So I'm doing what I'm doing physically is just a reflection of my spirit, right? And I don't need any of that to still feel androgynous though, because this comes from my spirit, right? It doesn't come from anything really outside of me. So, yeah, I never understood why, like, people would separate so much when it came to, like, but yo, wait, before I say that, yeah, that's why they were held up in society because they were different, right? They embodied the whole. They embodied the whole truth. Is there another one? Oh, no, you can't see that one. Not yet. They embodied the whole truth, right? Because if we're supposed to get back to wholeness at the end of the day, the wholeness is androgynous, right? We understand that. So these beings come down here with that remembering, like, don't forget, even though you're playing into these politics, you are still whole. You're still androgynous, right? How cool is that? And I would even say unisex people as well. I gotta do more research on unisex people because I don't know if a unisex person, because I know the doctors ask them, "Do you want to keep this or that?" And I'm like, "Why can't they keep both?" If I was unisex, I would keep both my vagina and my dick if I could. Um, because I don't choose. I am all of it. And being androgynous isn't fluidity. It goes beyond. I use a spectrum just as like describing it, but even in that spectrum, it's not a spectrum. It's more of a period, of a point within a point type shit, right? It's like kind of like Mew from Pokemon, right? Um, it just is. It's stillness. It's ultimate stillness. It's the void, right? The void is androgynous. It's not masculine or feminine. It's androgynous. Hecate is the feminine part of the void. Source is the masculine part of the void, and the void is just the void. It's androgynous, right? 'Cause I talked about this because I'm being the. I told you I'm on the path, the primeval path, my clip art journey, the void child path, right? I call it the void child path, which is inherently androgynous, right? The magical child, the imaginary child, the void child. It's all androgynous. And in my video, The Ultimate Death Student or The Ultimate Death Wizard, I talked about androgyny in there as well. So go watch that one. Really good watch. Go watch that one. It's really good. I talked about it in there as well. I used an example of Ariel from Little Mermaid and Princess Rosalina from Mario. Death child of innocence. And a lot of my archetypes are children. A lot of my forms that I take are children, right? The frequency that I'm in is a child frequency, right? And I really accept myself today. I'm like, oh, that's me. No, it's like I know that's me, but now it's like, oh, that's me. That's me. The more I started to be more into my essence, I start to realize no, like, and it's not just a saying, it's not just a no, it's like no. So you know how some people are more masculine, some people are more feminine. No, I'm just androgynous. Period. Right? That's my core frequency. That's how I emanate. That's how I radiate, and that's how I understand the world. Because when it comes to like things like, I guess you can say that are more masculine, like men like to do stuff with their hands and construct buildings, and women are better at giving those men orders, right? That's why a lot of women are secretaries because they got good memory, which there is truth in that. I'm not saying there's no truth in that, but for me, it's like, well, why can't women or feminine be good with their hands? Why can't men be good secretaries? Why can't um, men do more feminine jobs feminine and women do more feminine masculine jobs? Or why can't the masculine do more feminine jobs or the feminine do masculine jobs? At the same time, the masculines can still do masculine jobs and the feminine can still do feminine jobs. But why can't they all just juggle up? You know what I mean? But at the same time, still, but at the same time, they can also play into masculinity or femininity. While at the same time, they don't have to at all. Does that make sense? How does it make sense? Because for me, it's just like, why can't we all just be everything? I just, with my brain, my mind, it's just really hard for me to separate the two, y'all. Like I can't play within gender. I don't understand gender norms, and I can't play within gender norms because I feel like gender norms aren't really real. Uh, excuse me. Like because if everything is made up anyway, then it's definitely not real. But I feel like gender norms are more of a societal, human, man-made construct. Because I feel like there are no such thing as gender norms. You're going to have because energy is just energy, right? Even if the masculine tends to create things with their hands, it's not about a dick. It's just frequency. The frequency of light, of masculinity, just naturally causes a being, whether they're androgynous, fluid, non binary, queer, feminine, doesn't matter. Would just naturally make you want to use your hands to create things. This goes back into like emotions also being more neutral and gender fluid, not gender fluid, neutral and androgynous too, because anybody can have emotions. Anybody can create things with their hands. Like anybody can lead. Anybody can follow. Anybody can be a secretary, right? Anybody can direct. So it's just hard for me to see the difference, right? And the reason why my essence is a child is because children naturally don't play into gender norms. They're fluid. Children don't play into gender norms. It's the parents that project gender norms onto the children. Who's to say that? Because a lot of people do this. Like that's why I despise gender reveal parties. I gotta make a poem about that, but I hate gender reveal parties because how does pink equate to femininity? How does blue equate to masculinity? Because in reality, blue is actually for girls. Y'all can look this up. In history, men wear heels, they wore makeup, they played women roles, and on top of that, pink blue was for girls, not boys. Originally, they switched it. And who's to say? I'm almost done. This is definitely over 20 minutes. But who's to say that? I'm pretty sure Source did not make that rule. Blue for boys, pink for girls. That wouldn't make any sense. How does that even work? And I gotta make a video about pink before pink too, and how badass it could be. But one day, because I don't know how I'm gonna do that. But who's to say like um that boys can't wear dresses, or women can't wear crop tops, or women can't wear that's why I want to get into the fashion industry, because I want to make more fitting clothes for people who have more of a masculine frame. Like if people want to wear dresses but they have a masculine frame, I want to give them clothes that fit their frame, because I feel like a lot of time it's hard for people with masculine frames to wear more feminine clothes because the way their bodies are constructed, right? So there's a niche that I would get into. Um, there's a little side note. Sorry about that. I was making deviled eggs, girl. Deviled eggs from chowder. Was also my favorite foods that I want to try. But anyways, like gender reveal parties, right? Just because you have a child with a vagina does not make them a girl. Just because you have a child with a penis does not make them a boy, right? We understand that. Who's to say when that child gets older? First of all, the child doesn't even know anything about blue being for boy, pink being for girls. What if that child grows up hating both colors? What if they're not even boy or girl? They're androgynous. What if the child that you claim to be a girl, whose room y'all made into a pink fairy tale room? Because who's to say boys can't be pink fairy tales? Who's to say boys can be princesses? Like, for me, when I hear somebody say, "Oh, he's handsome," okay, but why can't he be pretty too? Oh, she's pretty. Why can't she be handsome as well? You know what I'm saying? Why do they have to be a she or he? Why can't they be that sometimes? You know what I mean? Like, instead of like making the color pink for a girl and blue for a boy, who might not even end up caring about those colors at all, or they might not even see any like gender, because colors don't have a gender, y'all. Let's be for real. We know this. Colors don't have a fucking gender. Ask a color what gender it is. It doesn't have a gender. It's about the color's frequency. We go on the color's frequency, right? We don't go off its gender. And every color has multiple frequencies, multiple meanings, multiple energies, right? We understand this. Colors aren't binary. They don't play into one role. Pink can be used for love, just just as much as it can be used for defense. Pink can be used for attacking just as much as it can be used for healing. Black can be used for warding off just as much as it can be used for protection and healing, etc. Right? Each color does this. So I just never really fully understood why I saw things like that, but now I do. It's because it's androgynous. I'm seeing things through the androgynous child, the child's truest form. Is that there is no separation with anything with me, right? Like when I see people, I never understood why, like, even if you saw an androgynous boy or androgynous girl, or somebody you just don't know, unless they give you their pronouns, why not just call them they? Like, I never understood why people want to just call children boys or girls. Who's to say that when they get older, they're going to be a boy or girl? And who's to say that that girl that you had won't be a boy? And vice versa. And who's to say they're going to be Who's to say they're not going to be queer or fluid or androgynous? Like, I hate that for the child because people project onto kids, and like if I had a kid, I'm gonna let my kid just be a kid. I'm not going to say, oh, boys like this, or you want this, like let's get you more boy things, let's get you more girl things. Like I'm gonna let my kid wear what they want to wear, watch what they want to watch, express themselves how they want to express themselves. If one minute they want to express themselves with crayons, and the next minute they want to use paint, and the next minute they want to use video games, I'm going to do that. I'm not going to give them monster trucks or like princess dolls because they're a boy or a girl. I'm going to give them dolls because that's what they said they wanted. If my child says, I want a doll, I'll give them a doll. I want a monster truck, I'll give them a monster truck. I want to play with SpongeBob. I'll give you SpongeBob. I want to play with My Life as a Teenage Robot. I'll give you that. I want to play as Princess Peach. Let's play as Princess Peach. You want to play as Mario? You want to play as Bowser as well? You want to play as King Boo? You want to play as Rosalina? You want to play as Yoshi, Birdo? You want to play as Toadette? You want to play as Master Hand from Super Smash Bros? You want to play as a Fork? You want to play as a Cloud? Like, that's all the same thing, right? Like, I don't go based off gender because that's made up. I don't go based off sex even because that literally has nothing to do with you liking the color pink or blue. That has nothing to do with if you can play with dolls or not. That literally has nothing to do with your interest. Having a vagina and having a dick has nothing to do with your fucking interest at all. It's just your frequency. What is your frequency like? What is your essence like? What is your energy like? Right? That's so stupid. Um, sorry, I'm watching the video. Let's say I suck my dick, bitch. Um, no, for real, I feel that way. I'm talking to y'all. I'll suck my dick, bitch. No, I'm kidding. I'm almost done. But yeah, like, why can't we just let people be people? Why can't we just let people be people? Why does it have to be this or that? Just let people experience people. We are an experience experiencing ourselves. Let us experience it. Let's stop labeling it, y'all. Why does everything need a label? Let's just experience it. If you are just naturally more masculine, you don't need to label that. Just radiate that. If you're naturally more feminine, just radiate that. If you're naturally more androgynous, just radiate that. You don't have to put all these little labels on them. Just be you. Just express yourself as yourself, right? And like I said, if you are just naturally more of a boyish nature, then do that. No one's saying not to. But also don't oppress me because of how you see me. If you see me as more of a boy or as more of a girl, don't project that onto me because you don't know if I see myself as that, right? And that's just me, you know. And it also goes, I don't know if I'm making a separate video about this, but it also goes into people's sexuality. Like, just let people be people. Like I've seen so many comments where like somebody is quote unquote gay, right? And the comments are like, "Oh, it's sad that you're gay," or "I'm sad that you're straight." What the fuck are you sad for? You're not fucking me. You're not fucking them. You don't even know them. You will never experience them other than maybe a moment in passing. You don't know their personal lives. What the fuck are you sad for? Now, if I killed your parents, you can say, I'm sad that you killed my parents. But how can you be sad over somebody's sexuality or somebody's identity? It's a bummer that you like the color pink. It's a bummer that you like the color green. That's what it sounds like. It's a bummer that you are who you are. What? How are you sad over somebody's own truth? That isn't harming anybody. Especially, that isn't harming anybody. How can you be upset over somebody's fluidity? because of what somebody is, how can that make you sad? Because of what they like in a relationship and what they're attracted to, how does that make you sad? And or how they express that, how does that make you sad? Explain. Society is so stuck on labels and it fucking pisses me off. But stop. Can we just let people be people, please? Excuse me, I'm about to go. But y'all don't understand what's going on with somebody's life. We are an experience, having an experience, a dream within a dream. We go the dream, dreaming itself as a dreamer. Within the dream, as a dream. Let's just dream, okay? Even if, because I was watching somebody's live stream, right? And one of the comments was like, I'm sad that you're straight. I'm like, why would y'all? That's so weird. My this you're not fucking them. This person was showing their nude, right? They were doing a nude live stream, right? And my thing is, you're watching them nude. They're here for your entertainment and your pleasure. You're not fucking them. If you want to fantasize fucking them, go ahead. But you're not fucking them. They're not fucking you. They're coming on here, showing your body, masturbating for your entertainment. That's it. The line stops there. They're not here to be romantically involved in your fucking life. Who knows? Y'all might end up being friends, online friends, but that's it. Like, I never understood that logic of people wanting to, the logic of people projecting their delusional Disney fantasies onto people. Well, I'm sad now. My life is ruined because you're straight. My life is ruined because you're gay. My life is ruined because you don't like me. You don't like you don't want to have sex with me. You don't like me sexually. Now I don't have a chance to have sex with you. You never had a chance to have sex with somebody that you didn't know on the internet, bitch. You don't know these people's personal lives. How the fuck would you want to have sex with them? Something's wrong with humanity. And I think it's an American thing. And I'm an American. I've noticed this with the West that it's y'all. Y'all are bad at that. We are bad at that. What is wrong with y'all? Just let people be people. Just let people experience themselves as a dream, within the dream, as a dreamer. Right? Like, please. Enough with the labels. Enough with the labels. I was gonna make a video about that, but I think I just add in here. I'm gonna probably title it like being androgynous plus stop labeling people. Let's stop with the labels. Something like that. But yeah, I was gonna say that we are just people, you know, and regardless of how you, and like I said, it also goes back into like straight, gay, bi. There's no such thing as that, because in another life that you incarnated as, you were a boy who got fucked by boys. You were a boy that that fucked girls. You was a girl that got fucked by other girls. You was a girl that got fucked by other boys, right? In another life, you was asexual. In another life, you was androgynous, right? Even before all that, you were pure energy. You didn't even have a sexuality or a gender. At the same time, we're all experiencing ourselves. So if that's the case, then that shows you that sources is androgynous and fluid, and that shows you Hecate is um labelless. There is no label. Hecate is nothing. The void is nothing. Source is nothing. They don't go based. If you ask Source, are you a boy or a girl? See what they say. Are you gay or straight? See what they say. Like, that's ridiculous, y'all. There is no such thing as bi and straight. The You are just a being having an experience. Just experience yourself. You don't need to label bi. You don't need to label pan. You don't need to be pansexual. You don't need to be bisexual. You don't need to be gender. Now labels are good to a point, but the problem with humanity is they live and breathe those labels. They die with those labels. You are more than those made up labels that were made by people in higher up positions just to control you. Remember that. The labels never existed, and neither did you. Okay, I think we're done here, sweetie. I think we're done here. All right, bye, y'all, bitch. Bye.